Sight, New, Hank, Coco, Big Sir. Y'all know how this shit go. You know. All eyes on me. Motherfucker, G. Roll up in the club and shit. All eyes on me.
78. Find that movie, Flatliners, anybody. However, it was about, just in short, just in brief, it was about people, a bunch of college students, university level, who were studying to be doctors, who knew that if you could be unconscious and what they call dead physically for nothing more than 4 minutes. And that they were playing around with, they were investigating with trying to find out what happens when you die. Recording biorhythms and all that, such and so, right? And so it was risky business, and of course the school didn't know about it because, you know, they would have thrown them out. In fact, one guy did get thrown out. So they used to do this on Saturdays or after hours or whatever. And so they did, and they kept doing it, and basically, guess what they found out? Each one of them that did it and came back, guess what they had to do? They had to go back to their childhood and confront that traumatic person or incident that happened to them or that they imposed on another person that was immoral and improper. And apologize. They were haunted every night in their conscious, yet subconscious, dreams of actually doing that. And they could not move forward until they fixed it. It was a powerful message. So the rings of Saturn, and remember Saturn is called, they say he's Father Time. They say he's the one who eats his children, right? Mm-hmm. Chronos. Mm-hmm. Right? All right. Why? You understand why now. Because we're the children. And he'll chew us up and spit us right the heck back out until we get this thing right. And he's Father Time because it's in your time, not his, because he's going to always be there. So it's in your time that this occurs. So in some ways we do have will. We do, I mean, in a great way we have will, because what you will to be done is what will be done and overcome, and if you don't will it, it won't happen. And so in other ways, as we were speaking, you have what we call this fate, or isn't that what's going to happen? But there's an investment in there because they're both exist. Good and bad, as we call it, exist at the same time. It's a matter of what side of a polarity you're on. Is the glass half full or is the glass half empty? It's a matter of your perspective. So the energy, initiating, fixed, and stable, we understand that. We understand Geminis, Virgos, Sagittarius, and Pisces, who are very changeable people, and they always have to do the work. Don't ask them why they got to be the one to do it. They just got to do it. So if you get with the person, male, female, whatever, and they're always the one that got to do the work, and you don't want that, don't get with one of them. Don't try to force them out of their nature. Because that's what they do.
What do you mean they gotta do the work? Like they take it over?
They're always the one. Like for instance, Pisces. All right. Virgos. No, with this stuff. Geminis, Virgos, Sagittarius, and Pisces are mutable people. I got you. Just hold on a second. Are mutable people.
What's meant by mutable?
Mutable, flexible.
Oh, okay.
Also, in your studies in astrology, you'll see common. Common, flexible, mutable are all the same thing. All right? They're the ones who adapt. 1 minute they're going to do something, next minute they change up on it. And it's just their nature. And every time, you know, you go through this and you recognize, and once you recognize this is true because this is science. This is the nature. They're also the workers. Remember this thing where we said this? They're the workers. They're the ones who are going to do the work. So you've got a friend that's like that, and it's like they're always the one that helps out down at the club. They're always they're always the one that's just got to do it. Why do you have to do it? I just got it. Right? They're the workers. That's their nature. Don't try to break them. Understand them. Utilize them. And utilize and use is two different things. In a way. Capricorns, they are very resourceful people. And the negative side of them, they're users. They'll use you until they can use you up. You know somebody that's a cat. Oh, is it you? No.
I'm a Capricorn, though.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm getting ready to hit you on the positive. Don't worry about it. On the positive side, They are extremely well utilizers. We are to utilize the resources that we have. For it, get back to the season again. If this is the spring, and these first 6 are what you're sowing, and then you reap, right? Here's Libra, first social house that's choosing that mate. Now we know a little bit more about how to do that, right? That begins the fall of what? This is about the sun cycle that you're in, that you live under. So the sun's going this way. The sun is going this way, isn't it? Here's the cardinal signs. You see what I'm doing here? See what I'm drawing here? What's it look like?
Swastika.
Look like a swastika, don't it? The swastika, that is the swastika. But the way they utilize this, because you don't even know what the swastika, it represents the sun cycle of life. But if you see theirs that they utilize during that time, check it. This goes the other way. They're telling you, guess what? We're talking about death. But if you don't know that this is the swastika and it represents the 4 seasons and astrology, you throw it away, don't you? Don't throw it away. It's yours. You see what I'm saying? And tell it like it is. So, the sun gets here to Libra, right? And it begins to go down, doesn't it? Because the highlight is Capricorn up here. Capricorn, Father Time is sitting up here now. Let me see. Did you sow enough to reap enough to sustain you through the winter months? I'm the midheaven here. I'm the highlight of the social side. I'm the highlight of what your mama made. And if you bring something out here into this social world that is not correct, I'm going to discipline them and give them structure and order. And kick them right back to you. They have to be structured. They have discipline. I don't care. Any Capricorn will succeed in whatever it is they try to do. It could be a bad thing. They're going to get it done. Because that's who they are. They have that persistence. And they represent social status. Now understand this. Because that's another pattern that I'm getting ready to give you. Because I'm going to give you the patterns. And then you can put them together yourself. And then on that, So, the sun begins to fall in the fall. And why do you think Saturn, who rules Capricorn, is exalted? Because remember, these are planets. Remember we said houses, we said astrology signs, and then we said planets. So when you do your personal chart, what's in your houses? What lord? Because the real lords are the astrology signs. Those are the lords of the houses. What's in your house of finance? What's in your house of communication? If you have a problem with something, go look at your chart. Maybe see what's in there. So that house is going to be in your life. That facet is going to be expressed through the characteristics of whatever sign is in that house. You understand? Because a lot of times we just do the sun sign. We don't even do the moon. We don't even know that the moon is our real self. It's the light that shines in the darkness, and the dark that comprehend it not. That's your soul. Your sun is just the characteristics that you express your soul, the dictates of your soul. And the ascendant is just the presentation that your soul is cloaked in and presented to the world. That's your body style and type. That's what everybody sees. So that's why a lot of people say, I don't believe astrology because they couldn't guess my sign, because they're looking at your physical body and presentation, which has nothing to do with the moon sign inside, which is the real true you.
Let's go ask the Lord.
So, what is that? That's the Trinity that all churches can't figure out and tell you what that is. They say that the Trinity is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, which is just not really proper for his mother.
Right.
Even though Father is mother, which we talked about earlier.
She really is first.
It's a process. Because male and female, he made him. It's male and female, the woman, who we are man and he's son of man. It's really not that complicated. So we did do that. I got you. I got both of y'all. I just want to get this out because this is a pattern that needs to be understood. And later we'll go through why some of the planets, you got to look at these planets as energies because they are, and they are explained through characters so that you can understand them. But what you need to look at is what planet is in what house affecting what? And two planets, I'm a planet and he's a planet. If you see that we're conjunct, we're in the same place, you got to look at how we act together. That's like two people that you know. They cool, but don't put them together because they don't get along. So you got to know the energies of the planets and how that energy affects your life or affects that part of your life. So when you see the signs of conjunct, square, sextile, that means it's in harmony or not. Those are symbols that you need to know, what you think is foreign, but it's really not. It's just saying, like this says trine. That means that the planets are in harmony. They're 120 degrees away from each other. It's mathematics. So when you look at this astrology wheel, anything that's 120 degrees away from itself is a harmonious element to the other one. Doesn't fail. You can go backwards, sideways, it doesn't matter. It's all about geometry in the aspects of the planet. I'm going to get to this about Capricorn that I started and finished, and then answer the question. So, just to give you an idea here, by the time you get to Capricorn, if you are, say the first house is you, yourself, right? The fourth house is your self-origins, right? Because this is just another pattern. These are the holy crosses, really. And if I had to project, I could show it better. First house is self. Fourth house, self-origins, home. What? Mother. It's important.
Is that Gemini?
Cancer. Gemini is the first mutator of the first season. But Gemini deals with your intellect abilities and communication abilities and how high your knowledge base will be is based on the foundation, Gemini. Because Gemini is 180 degrees away from what? Sagittarius, right? What does Sagittarius represent? Your higher knowledge, right? Well, guess what? You better look at Gemini and see what your limitations are to determine your higher knowledge. Because if you got limitations here, you ain't going to get but so high. You follow what I'm saying? So that's why I said the first 6 is all you need to know, and it's 180 degree polar reflection. Because this is the personal you, and this is the social you that's put out into society. So self is the first sign. 180 degrees is, well, first social thing. Your partner. Because that reflects you whether you want to admit to it or not. It does. So now when you get there, there's the Grim Reaper. Saturn is also called the Grim Reaper that rules Capricorn. The Grim Reaper, because he doesn't really has no emotions about, station person. He don't care. You got to follow the rules. She's laughing. It's true. He's the discipliner. And guess what? He's 180 degree off. Cancer, who does? Go ask your mama. If your mama didn't send you out here right with this, then sorry. So he's at the gate, 180 of that, to cancel that out. You ain't getting past this. So I'm going to say this. When you get to Libra, again, which begins your social, where you choose the first social thing you do, which represents your partners and stuff, which also represents your enemies, because everything is the reverse of what it is. You cannot enjoy or have something without knowing the 360 of it. If you ask for something, really ask for something, you're going to get the bad, or what you call the bad side of it first. And you're going to think you're not getting it and be unhappy. But you said you wanted it, so you need to know it all the way. Wow. If you get through that, that's why they say there's a silver lining behind every cloud. Most of us don't get past it. When you start fixing the moaning, because we don't understand that we're getting what we asked for, we just don't recognize it the way it is. There's everything is good and bad at the same time. That's what's amazing about it. It's at the same time. Now, get to Libra. First social house, keep going here because it's important. Capricorn is waiting. He can't wait. He can't wait to give you your disciplines. Right? So he starts saying, "Dad, I like Libra." So when you do your chart, when Saturn and Libra are together, Saturn is exalted in Libra. He likes it. Why? Because Libra begins to judge. To judge, right? He's sitting there saying, I'm gonna dole out the punishment. That's why they go together. All of this is just samples of your life and mixing of your life and elements and things. So your first house is yourself. Your seventh house is everything that opposes yourself, and that is your mate. You hear what I'm saying? And if I could just do this, because I know we got questions and I want to answer them. If I could just do this right here, can you understand the outline that I'm putting here? Next time we're going to bring in a projector. Did you see what I just did right there? All right, I want you to understand that this is Capricorn right here. This is and this is Aries, right? Right? That's a cross, isn't it? Mm-hmm. That's a holy cross in astrology. There's 3 of them. The first one is the holy cross of self, which we're discussing right now, which is self-origins. Self is Aries. Self-origins is Cancer. Home life. Now, what opposes Aries, or what's 180 degree of Aries, is that Libra, didn't I say earlier? That's where you choose your mate. They balance out each other. Whether you are aware of it or not, they're a reflection of each other. So how you are with yourself is definitely going to relate to your mate. And you can pretend that you are perfect and all that if you want to, but that's what happens. That's science. Cancer is your home life, right? What's the 380 there? Capricorn, right? So what is this? Self-origins, right? Everything opposing self, and the way others see yourself is Capricorn. That's why Capricorn handles status quo and how society sees them. Status and social standing. Because they deal with how you are viewed in the public, in the social eye. So that means that when Taurus makes the money, worries about making the money, and this is just another cross, but just give you how this pattern is. Make the money. And then Virgo says, good, we need to have possessions, but how we going to get them? What's our service to mankind going to be? Or what's our job going to be? And then you get up here to Capricorn, which is a part of that too, because everything mixes and it's always elemental. He says, well, that's great, we got the money and all that, we got the job, but how are we going to enjoy it? They worry about how they're going to enjoy what they have. Status. See how it blends? There's a blending there. Those are the holy crosses. And I'll do the last one, but before I do the last one, there were some questions, and you were first, I believe.
Yeah, I'm a Gemini. I don't really like that word limitation, so if you could explain that.
Limitation. I was using that as an example. What I'm saying is this. This goes for every last one of them. These bottom 6 signs that I told you are your personal houses, are your reap and sow, cause, and effect, right? So I'm saying to you that I use Gemini as an example, but I could use Taurus as an example. Let me use Taurus as an example, then I'll clear up Gemini for you. Taurus is about your possessions, correct? Mm-hmm. Well, what's Scorpio about? Desires, right? Well, the things you desire are the things you possess, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And the things you possess are the things you usually desire. That's why you got them, right? So, look at the second house of finances to determine whether you're going to get the things you desire. If there is some limitation there or whatever, then I'm saying limitation or some planets that make an aspect that affect that house that makes it negative for that to happen. Or maybe you got to struggle a little longer or some other things you got to correct or whatever. Then that will determine what's going to happen in Scorpio and you reaching your desires. Does that make sense? So the same thing applies with Gemini. I'm saying Gemini governs your basic intelligence, intellect, and communication abilities. Formed in the personal houses, in the first quadrant of the personal houses, meaning they deal with neighbors and relatives, right? Because you develop that communication skill with neighbors and relatives. Right? Now do you understand that correlation? And then with that, Gemini, 180, if you can't get this off too well, you ain't gonna reach much higher. That determines your higher knowledge capabilities. Do you understand what I'm saying?
So,
Your ability for higher knowledge is based on the foundation of basic knowledge that you live in, that you are. This is basically street knowledge, and this is high knowledge. You understand what I'm saying now? So, the basic communication is Gemini, where you learn we learn how to just communicate. Period. So that's going to affect how you're able to communicate in Sagittarius, your higher learning base, right? And so this Gemini deals with close friends and neighbors, right? So what do you think Sagittarius deals with? Close friends, neighbors, and short trips. Why short trips? Because we're talking about home and neighbors. It's where you learn this at. But when you get to Sagittarius, we're talking about long trips and your mate's neighbors. Because this is social. And social, it means, when I say mate, it could be business partner. Don't mean it's necessarily a sexual, intimate relationship. That means anything that's in the social world. You follow me now? So now do you understand what I meant by Gemini being the base of your intellectual abilities and communication abilities? Thereby, if it's stunted for some reason, that will affect how high you can go, or it will determine how high you can go. But some people may not be able to communicate this way, but they can communicate that way. So what you need to do is look in your basic Gemini third house and see what's up. You find out what Lord is in that house, because that's how you're going to express yourself through communication. So if you are a Libra, for instance, and you're born in the third house of Gemini, you're going to be doing communications, probably speaking, publications, things like that, because that's what it goes. You feel what I'm saying? That's how you have to learn to do your chart, learn yourself. There was another question. Did you have a question?
I wanted to address what you had said in reference to Christianity.
Yes.
With the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost.
Is that what you want to do?
yeah, that's
No, I got you. Go ahead.
Considering it was coded, the woman is there, but it's
Yes.
been coded
Yes.
as the Holy Ghost.
Yes. The problem, you're right, the Holy Ghost. The problem is the masses who learn Christianity have not been told that. And they actually, not even being told that, like we talked earlier, we're dealing with the patriarchal system before you came. And that's a stumbling block for us. That's why they coded it.
Thank you.
Keep you going that way. But brother here wanted to make a comment on that too.
yes. I know you've covered like 90 other topics since then, but I was holding them
That's all right.
because I feel as though it's important and people should know this. The Christianity of today, when she was correctly saying that the way it's being taught today is under the Roman con. Rome means the force of religion, political religion, and con means to steal your land. They actually got that from, see, Yeshua didn't teach Christianity, but
Yeah.
in Ethiopia, which is the demarcation line, actually the land is Cush, of the Coptic faith. That's what the true Christians, that's where true Christianity comes from the Coptic faith, from the land of Cush, and it was Islam. But when the Inquisitionists came, they peeped it and said, "Oh, I see how we could take this and create our own form of Christianity based on the anointed one, Yeshua." And like she was showing you with the swastika, which means good being. That's just the human body broke down. And the four cardinal signs, which is Quadragesimus, which is the four Caesars. So you are that cross. That's why it's written like in the scriptures, each one must bear your cross. Well, you're the cross.
Right.
And see, all the 5-pointed star, Islam.
Excellent. All right. Now, he could. That was great. You are the cross. Someone asked about wearing the cross and having someone on it. You are the cross. Right? Know thyself. So when they say they pinned to me, you gotta understand what that means. Should you wear that? No. Didn't he tell you don't make any graven images of me? So why would you wear it? He told you not to make it, and you won't wear it. The problem is Islam. He's your son. That's your son. Here's a son like many other sons. He said, what I do, you can do better. Even. He came to bring you a message of how we were to think and what was moral and correct. Right? We need someone to worship so bad that we do that. And so women, especially when we're walking around, and this is what happens socially too. We're walking around, not that we don't love, because don't get it wrong, and I definitely don't want the brothers to get it wrong. We love our sons. Do not get that wrong. Matter of fact, we love y'all so much we spoil y'all. Right? And then expect some other woman to deal with that. And then wonder why men go out and look for women to take care of them because mother did. Right? Right? We find this out later, don't we? Yeah. And whoever said that we're supposed to wait till 40 to have babies and all that, there'll be a book probably next year, pretty soon. Because that ain't even, I mean, it's not bad. But in this society, you don't want a teenager facing this society at 50 years old. It doesn't work. Unless you have this side, because we had children for a long time. I mean, you know, we were older. We had lots of children. I'm not saying not to have it, but I'm saying you can't. We got our minds all screwed up about what it is we're, so, you know, we find this American pie. When I drew that circle and I took a little piece of 90-degree piece of pie, right? So, with the brothers, again, it's not that. We love our sons. We ruin them. That's part of the problem. And so we go and we're looking for them to do something that we need to be doing. And that's why we're disappointed. Right? And they're frustrated. Because they can do, they only do what they do for us. It's like, oh, and then we're expecting them to save us when we are the redeemers. So don't look for them to save us. Now they support us. We created them like they are because they're a model of us. We can't create something that we're not already. So let's not get it twisted like that. And see, what happens is because of the patriarch society, men suddenly at this information feel like they're left out. They don't understand. That's not what we're saying. We're just putting things in its proper order because it's absolutely necessary. Because they're still going to do for us. And we're still going to create them, and we're still going to love them, but we may not spoil them because they have a job to do. Right? And that's how that goes. So but then psychologically we're protecting them from when we saw babies being ripped out of stomachs, you know, and husbands being put on a horse and quarters, you know, four different ways they would send the horse off, and you know we actually witnessed these things, so it was traumatic for us. But it was done to us. We were the ones who were subjugated. It was done to us to put us in place because we then had children and we smothered and ruined them, and especially the sons, not the daughters. Daughters will kick out the house as soon as they act like they, you know, grown. We psychologically, that's what we do. But sons will keep in the house for forever. Because we know that really that daughter's going to be all right. Because we know who she is. Now, she seems to be a lot like us. We can't stand ourselves, right? But the son we're protecting because we know that the only thing that will really harm that son is another woman. So sons, that's why we do it. We're protecting you. But we are so unconscious of it that by not being conscious, we're doing more harm. Because we can't even explain why we're doing it like that. We don't even know. Was there another question in reference to what I was explaining about? Okay. The whole, yes.
It goes, a question I have is that I don't know if a lot of other cultures is like into like, you know, Moorish knowledge and so forth, but like is this reason why certain cultures, like even in Africa and India, where the parents choose their husbands?
Exactly.
Yes. That's what I was saying to you earlier, and he was saying earlier. And I have it in the book. So that we can, you know, what they're talking about. They used to choose the boyfriend for them, a husband for them. It wasn't like that. They wrote it like that to keep you turned off from it and didn't really tell you what it is. Because remember, they took your astrology, your science, and hid it. They made it as if it was some occult. They made it as if it was wicked and devil worshipping, etc., etc. And maybe even some of you still have some people around you today that say, well, I don't believe in that fortune telling stuff. Right? Well, let's look at the hypocrisy. In their hand, they have the Biblios Heliotext, called the Bible, which means the record of the sun. It says this is a book of what is, what was, and what is to come. Is that not divination? Is that not fortune telling? Or future telling? Is it not? All right, so there you go. You got a little some ammunition for them, right? They're hypocrites.
Thank you.
All right, give me another one. They say they're divine people. They say they are divine, and you're not. Hey, you're not going to church. You're giving Reverend Jones some money, right? Look up the word divination. It means one who divines and tells the future. Look it up in the dictionary, encyclopedia. They say that they're prophetesses now. They're prophetesses. Women coming up. They're prophetesses and prophets. Some of them even give them their prophet. It seems like it's all right to call yourself a prophetess, but when you go to call yourself a prophet, it seems like, who ordained you to do that? But a prophet, look it up. Someone who knows the astrological forecast and tells them. We're all talking about future telling. So how is somebody going to tell you they're in church and they look in the Bible and they don't believe in future telling? Do you see how messed up we are? So you're going to have to just take this and run with it, and you just can't do what they tell you to do, because once you have the truth, you cannot turn back. And there's a place for those who do. It's eternal damnation, really. You can't know this. You cannot know this out of ignorance and get an opportunity to get it. But you can't have it and then turn your back on it and expect to get it. It's not going to happen. The truth is the light. The light brings you to the dawn of your awareness. And your awareness is what sets you free. Well, really, the truth sets you free. And if you're looking for the truth, then that's what then you seek the truth. And you find it, and it's a light. And when it shines on you, you're going to receive it. I tell people when they hear the information in their ears and it feels good in their heart, it is for them. I don't care what no one else says, because you don't, believers, as he said earlier, our problem is that we are believers and not knowers. Belief is for the initiate, for the child who begins the elementary teaching. Then you have to graduate it to knowing. And our problem is for the masses is we never ever get to know. And we don't study, and we don't know how to study, and we don't have the keys to study. Did you have someone have a question? I thought I said, all right, answer your question. So the last thing is, the third key is, the third cross is, and I don't really necessarily have to draw it, but we understand how this works with the end. And the other thing to remember is, like I said, the energy is all around us, is how we use it. So you have negative and you have positive. What does that mean? Like a battery, in and out. Male and female, left and right, yin and yang. Huh?
I said yin yang.
You said yin yang? Right, yin yang. We just don't know that that's what that means. So a battery doesn't work without the positive and negative polarities, right? Same thing. So when they say negative signs or positive signs, they're not talking negative bad. It means that the negative is all the water and earth signs are negative signs. Water and earth. Water and earth are negative signs because they are receivers.
Receivers, yeah.
Yes. So what does that also mean about water and earth signs? That they're also what? Receptive, receivers. They're drawing energy. There are people who walk into the room and they don't necessarily say anything, but don't sleep on them because they take everything in. That's water and earth signs. Tauruses are earth signs, Virgos are earth signs, Capricorns are earth signs, and Pisces are...
Pisces are water. That's water.
Yeah.
No, I did the earth signs.
Did all?
Yeah, I did the earth. I didn't do all the water. Did I miss one? No, I didn't miss one. The waters are Scorpio, Pisces, and Cancer, right? There's 3 of each. But there's 4 in the group because it's always the 7. There's 4 groups for 3 of each. And that 3 times 4 is 12. It's mathematics. They come into the room, they don't say anything, but because they are receivers. So the water and earth signs are the negative signs, not meaning bad, meaning receivers, and they are also then what? Female. So when you say it's a female sign, and that's what you're thinking, you're saying that it is one that receives the energy because women receive. Positive signs are all of the fire and air signs. They're people who come into a room and start giving out energy. That's how they take, the energy's all around. This is how they utilize it. You follow me? So don't get mad at them because they come in and they life for the party and they get stuff started. Because that's just their nature. Somebody got to do it. Exactly. And other people, and see, this is the sickness we have. We are able to look at each other and start judging and claiming and talking about them, you know, because of it. And without, we are so ignorant. We don't even understand the energies that are before us that are there really to bring us a blending and a harmony. We don't even, but we talk about it. Talk about it. Because we don't have that quality. Well, you're not supposed to have that quality. There's something else you have. Because it's the ebb and the flow of the energies of the universe that you're tapping into. And you use it in a certain way. You utilize it in a certain way. You present it or represent it in terms of taking it in and bringing it back out, because those who have the flexible qualities are going to take that energy and they're going to transform it into something else. Those who are stabilizers are just going to try to stabilize it and hold on to it and utilize it for whatever they're doing.
That's a question. When you said before about 100, like the first one you said is 120 degrees, and then one you said it's 180 degrees. Is that what you call polarity?
Yes, 180 is the polarity.
And how,
360 and half of that's 180.
So how does that work? 'Cause I mean, you were saying about, I believe it was the Gemini and Sagittarius.
Yes.
So there will be polarity.
Yes.
So, like, how would you utilize that? Like, because I was listening to what you were saying. You were saying that you would have to understand, you know, the neighboring aspect of, you know, communication and intellect of basically the Gemini's lows in order to get to the higher mind.
Correct.
So what, like in your polarity, you will have to look at your polarity's negative aspects?
No. It's a blending. See, negative and positive exist at the same time, no matter what side of the poles you are on. So in other words, the polarities of the sides are the people who are what they call themselves opposites. And opposites attract. Because when you meet that person, you always say to them, wow, I would love to do it. I always wanted to do it like that. I could never do that. But they can do it. Or you'll say, I would never do it like that. You're doing what I would never do. But there's a compliment there because it's a reflection of what is and what is not. So your polar reflection sign is absolutely your best mate.
So the polarity will be your soulmate.
Absolutely, because it is a reflection of your soul, and man's business is about reflecting.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So they're gonna. So at their worst, they'll be like you, and at your worst, you'll be like them. But the blending together, the perfect balance is harmony.
But I'll be get more subjective. I'll be honest with you. I
I know what you're gonna say.
don't get along with Libras,
Okay.
females at all.
Well, first of all, I could have told you were a Libra. You are an Aries, right?
Correct.
Right. All right. What's your moon?
Pisces.
So you're really a Pisces.
More or less, yes.
You know you are.
Let me
You are.
Let me
You
ask
are.
you a quick question. Because in mine, like I'm a Capricorn, but my moon is Cancer.
Ooh, you're a best reflection of yourself.
But like, who would be my polarity? Would it be Capricorn?
No, I mean,
or Cancer?
well,
like,
that's what I'm saying. You're a best reflection of yourself.
meaning?
Meaning that when you're self-married, right? When you have, that's you.
Finish.
I'm not gonna get into this. You are the best reflection of yourself because your moon, your inner self is actually reflected with your character. And I'm glad you brought that up and hold that what you're saying, because most people never like and have never been really attracted to their polar reflection. It doesn't happen that way. It's so natural that it happens naturally. It's not something that you would ever, most people I meet never say, I never. Just what he said, I could have said it for him. Because I hear it all the time. You're never reflected to that which reflects you because you don't want to look at yourself. That's one of the reasons. And that's true. But if you knew yourself, You also have to know the negative of yourself, and those people are doing the things that you say you would never do. And so together y'all balance each other out. Or you wouldn't do it like that. But then sometimes you say that's exactly, it depends on what the sway is. That you always wanted to be like that, usually is how you would say that you would with your polar reflection, because they are like you and you are like them. They may be at their worst and they act like you. You understand? When they're at their worst, they're going to act like you. And when you're at your worst, you're going to act like them. Do you understand? So you don't like seeing that.
And as for me,
As for you, back to you now. Your moon is Cancer and your
sun is Capricorn.
sun is Capricorn. That's a perfect balance. You are a best reflection of yourself.
I can't view it myself. I
Yes,
try
you
to.
do.
That ain't it. But you
Yes, you
are
do.
content.
Yes, you
Yeah.
are. Yes, you do.
You know, you
And let
can
me
have
say
the name or
this.
not.
And let's say this. This is the last thing that, well, I want to say the last thing. And then we can, you are. You really are. But it's hard for you to find a mate.
Yeah.
I know it is. There's some reasons for
So
that.
you're satisfied.
Because you're satisfied. That's number one. And because you're satisfied, ain't nothing wrong with you. It's not, certainly ain't nothing, you know, when you
It's your
present
nature.
yourself
You can't help
correct,
that.
that's for sure.
That's
So
where your mom
that
made
ain't it. And so that reminds me of this. This is your Trinity, Moon ascended. No, so I don't forget this. So I can help them out. Because somebody just remind me to say something about your counts of genders. Just counts of
Counts
genders.
of genders.
Very important. Counts of
Right.
genders. Make a note and remind me.
Council.
See this Trinity right here? You got your moon, you got your sun, and you got your rising. What I tell you, the rising is your physical body. Like you got a physical body of a Gemini. Now I don't know whether Gemini is prominent in your sign or if Gemini is your rising. I don't know. But you do have that physical body of Gemini. Long arms, long legs, that's Gemini. Sagittarius could have it too, because Gemini and Sagittarius are really the same.
Reflections.
They're reflections of each other. So I'll meet a person and I will say their sign is either that or their reflection, because they're reflections of each other. It's just a matter of where along this polar reflection, you're going along, this is the center point, and then that's it, and that's the 360. So this is the 180. And somewhere blended in there. All right? Now, if you are a Capricorn, which is an earth sign, and your moon is a Cancer, which is a water sign, and then, do you know your rising?
I believe it is Taurus.
All right, Taurus, very close to Gemini. I bet you are. I bet you're close to Gemini on that Taurus. Because Gemini comes right after Taurus.
Got to be.
I bet you're 28 degrees, 27 degrees, real close.
No more.
Because remember, each sign is 30 degrees. So you may be a Libra or a Capricorn, but if you're 28 degrees Capricorn, you're going out of Capricorn into the next sign. So your Taurus is, I bet you you're very close to Gemini. Check it out. Anyway, my point that I'm making here is you have Earth, right? And then your moon is water, right? So that means that your soul is water, and your Earth satisfies that soul, because you're satisfying your soul here. Because Earth receives water without changing it. That's why Earth and water people are perfect complements to each other. Do you see the energy? Synergy, right? And fire and air, fire is not going to get burned unless it has some air, right? But now let me show you the perfect of what I'm saying. Too much air, what happens to the fire?
Goes out.
So what are we looking at? A balance.
You want to look at the balance.
The balance is balance of life. You get too much of anything is not good. So you get 2 earth sign people. They're both earth signs. Now you know already that earth signs are basically feet on the ground, kind of stubborn and fixed in the earth. They're stable. Who is going to give in first is the question that you need to ask yourself when you hook up like that. Usually an earth sign, water gives to the earth because it likes the earth, because the earth receives them. So that's why it's a perfect complement. But you get two earth signs together as an example, you're going to have some problems with who's going to be the one that's going to give in. You get two water signs, it's just too emotional. You know, I mean, come on.
Earth.
Huh?
How about fire and earth?
Excellent. Fire and air are perfect complements. Earth and water are perfect complements. So people ask me, what about this or that? Well, all of this is complementary to each other. I know an earth sign, fire sign person who really the only person that can really put her in check is another earth sign. Do you know why?
Earth?
Yeah, surprised, aren't you? Do you know why? Does anybody know why? All right, what puts out fire?
Earth better than water.
Let's see.
Oh, scared.
Yeah, it's smoking.
Yeah.
What puts out fire?
Sand?
Water.
Water.
All right, he already said it. I was trying to get you. If you went to Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts, right, you would learn this. I don't know if they even have Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts anymore, but it doesn't take much to know this if you go on campus. Is that when you put fire out, you put it out with earth. I mean, it's not practical to throw earth on your house to put a fire out right now, but the real deal is an element, is that earth puts out fire. And that goes along with what I told you I had studied that you asked me earlier about that pattern. And so, and I want to get to that, but I just want to show you that this is what happens when mother does not have her children in harmony with what we have called the rhythm method. And I know all the sisters have heard about the rhythm method, and we look at it as being, you know, watching when our period comes on, because we're in tune with nature, right? So the rhythm is really the rhythm of the universe. It's the ebb and the flow, the in and the out. It's coming in, it's going out. Ebb of the flow and the flow of the flow of the energy, period. How you utilize it, I just told you the qualities. And the elements. You're going to be fire with it, you're going to be water with it, you're going to be earth with it, you're going to be air with it. Air people are communicators, naturally. Don't care, they're communicators naturally. Earth people are stabilizers, naturally. Water people are beginning and ends, psychic, you know, people. More or less. And fire people are they start some stuff. That's their job. And they may do it in a whatever kind of way, depending on where that is. Back to, well, I'm going to get to that, but you understand now that you're the best reflection. Now let's just say, I'm going to give you this example. I always use this example, and I happen to know someone like this. They are a fire sign. Let me show you how messed up it is when mother doesn't do what she's supposed to do. They're fire. Their moon is earth. That's why I had to tell you about earth first. Because earth puts out fire. And their rising is earth. So their moon is earth. And you're here to follow the dictates of your soul because your moon is your soul. And so this brother here whose moon is water is very satisfied with his characteristics because it's going to carry out the dictates of his soul in harmony. But this is the problem. Fire, I'm sorry, I don't have to erase it that quick. Fire and earth, that's a problem. This is a person who never seems to get their stuff off as they literally can't even maybe speak to say what they want to say.
Could there be some like impediments to speech?
No. Find out where your Uranus is that makes you have speech impediments. Probably in the third eye somewhere. No, what I'm saying is the earth is holding back their fire to the point where they hesitate to even say what they want to say. I mean, it can be that extreme.
So what about the reverse? Like, 2 fire and 1 earth?
2 fire.
I mean, you know, like if the fire was earth and the other 2 are...
Well, first of all,
2 fires and 1 earth.
2 fires, and the earth is the moon. I mean,
The earth is the sun,
the earth is the sun.
and the other 2 are fire. Just kidding. Oh, this is a volcano?
Problems. And that's why I'm giving you this, and this is a
That's a
psychology.
volcano?
Here's what's happening, right. Here's what's happening. You got earth, putting out your soul, the dictates of your soul. Right? And the way in which you express it. Same thing. You're going to have conflicts with yourself. You will have conflicts with yourself.
I got one.
Contradict yourself.
You contradict yourself. Right.
You got air and 2 waters.
The air is the sun.
Yeah, I get it.
The moon,
Air and 2 waters.
Yeah. Gemini,
Well,
passes the moon. Ascendant is Cancer.
Well, first of all, let me,
Need to write-
before I say that, we're talking about what if you got that.
Yeah, I got it.
I'm not talking about you. I'm saying, we're saying what if you got that. What we need to also recognize is this. Correction on these things are as such. If you got air and or earth, like I said, in 2 fires, or 2 earths in a fire, then apparently if your soul is the fire, and your ascendant is the fire, and your character is the earth, you need to find some air somewhere to satisfy your soul. So look through your chart and see where the air is from. And through that aspect of life is how you will satisfy your soul and balance out and express yourself. But first and foremost, you have to tune a little bit. It doesn't mean it can't be corrected. It means that only can it be corrected through your understanding of the
Conscious
what?
mind.
Elements in your conscious mind of this. You following what I'm saying? So don't sit and say, well, oh, I'm messed up. You're not messed up. You just need to understand how to correct it.
Know yourself.
So, did I answer your question, Lacey?
I was hoping you was gonna break it down.
I'm gonna break it down for you. I'm gonna break. Well, tell me what it was again. Air and
Air and 2 waters.
air is the sun,
Yeah. Gemini.
and 2 water signs.
Yeah.
Oh, I can take that right now. Every time you say something, people think you're just being too emotional.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Because it's the 2 waters that are trying to express themselves through what? Through air, which is communication. Which means when you start speaking, it becomes emotional. Because the depths of yourself, cannot express itself or has nothing to support it. You got lots of water. Matter of fact, today's going to be a special day for you. You know, the moon's in Cancer today, and so is the sun in Cancer. And if y'all read this, there's a lot of things going in Cancer now. But, so the depths of yourself, the depths of yourself is water, beginning and end. It's emotionalism, emotions, feelings, psychic stuff. And you don't have anything on your Trinity to help that. So you got to go search it through your chart and find out where your earth is. And through that house, express yourself. All right? Because what happens is you bring a lot, and let me tell you what you do. You bring a lot of good things to yourself, like air, bringing some life to water. You bring a lot of good ideas, but like how does air and water relate? Because everything does relate. There's just elements that are complementary, more complementary than others in terms of long-term relationships and or investments of business or whatever. So the air comes and it just kind of like hits the water, it brings some bubbles of air to this rotten vegetation that appears that's underneath the water that has no real oxygen level or air. And the air brings some good thoughts and ideas to thyself.
It gets drowned out.
But it gets drowned because then it goes away.
And that's why you get passionate, Milton, because you feel as though you're not really being heard.
I say to you, science is perfect. Find your chart. Find out where that earth is. Because you got too much water and you need earth to balance it.
Exercise it.
And so your characters, you may end up doing something that they think is out of your character. Matter of fact, expect that to happen since you've been knowing yourself or not knowing yourself for so long and everything you do seems to be emotional. When you find what you need to do, and it can be that. So you're going to be out of your character, they say. Because your character is that air, and you can't express yourself there. Because it doesn't support you. And so women never had children that would be coming to this earth that was out of harmony. So when you see those things in future old movies that say, you were going to have the child on the 5th, or no, it's a bad moon, that is very real. But it would be like second nature to us. Because when you ovulate, you come on that every 28 days. And it's like, if you don't conceive this month, they may conceive next month. So what? You're in rhythm with the universe. That's the true rhythm rhythm method. All right? You had a question.
Now, when you say the moon, what's talking about? Your partner? How
No.
are they figuring this out?
How do they figure this out? Okay, how do they figure this out? You have to know your chart. Do you know your chart? All right. Do you know your sun sign? Your sign.
Oh, I'm an Aries.
All right, you're an Aries. All right, you don't know your moon sign. And you don't know your rising sign. What was on? Okay, your rising sign is what was on the horizon when you were born, which dictated your physical presentation. And your moon sign is the real you that shines in the darkness. That's your soul. And so what we're talking about is the fact that if your trinity is not in order, you're in conflict with self, but it can be corrected with knowledge. And again, another way of stop thinking something's wrong with you and understand what's right with you. And start exercising this, working that chart. Because that chart, it dictates what, you know, I hear some Christians now saying, they go, I mean, it's really interesting. Yes, and the preacher said that we were mocked at birth. I said, oh, that's good, they're getting close. Now, what were you marked with? They don't know, but the preacher said we were marked. This blue is a blue chart, is a blue chart of you. And your navigation, like we said earlier, navel, all right? Navel, all right? Navigation of the elves.
Guys.
The gods. And once you're cut from your mother's navel, you begin that navigation on the earth plane. And you running around here navigating without a chart, without a plan. Causing havoc.
Gotta call on the Lords.
You gotta call. Thank you. I got you. You gotta call on the Lords, because I just told you that the Lords are the astrology signs. They are the Lords. And they are the Lords of the houses.
Of the mansion.
Of the mansions. And so they rule one of those mansions. Because there's 12 houses or mansions, right? And there's 12 signs, correct? Because and each one of those signs is at home in one of those houses, aren't they? So Leo, the sun, is at home in the 5th house of Leo, is it not? And the reason why it is because when you get to this 5th house of Leo, just like Capricorn's up here, dictating the mid-heaven and winter, Leo's right here, because all the signs that are in the middle are the epitome of the purpose of the season. That's why I told you they don't change. They're the purpose of this season. And there's a season and a rhyme and a reason for everything. So when you get here to Leo, a lot of people get confused, and I'll say, well, what's the Lord? They'll say that the 5th house, the sun, is Leo, and they think that that's the 5th house. Well, Leo doesn't have to be at home when you were born. Leo and all the other signs could have been visiting. They're transiting around these 12 mansions. You follow me now? And then the third thing are the planets, which are also transiting. This is why him and I can be born on the same day. We might be different, depending on the time. This is why twins are different, because when one came 2 minutes later, the ascendant could have changed, or the moon moved at that time. You understand? That's why no two people are like you're not meant to be alike.
Except for astral twin, right?
Oh, the astro twin, because like what did I say? For every opposite for every action there's an opposite and equal reaction. But that astral is really the etheric spiritual you. Because there never was a time when man was not. You will, that's why you have eternal life. So that astral is the spiritual. And so when you go to sleep at night, you hook up with that. And you cannot stay awake longer than 36 hours. Can you? You'll fall asleep where you're standing. You must go back to the astral plane, right? So which is real, this or the astral plane?
Astral plane.
So you're here for a reason, aren't you? Yes. You're here for the trials and tribulations of this. And how can you get there without you're a navigator. You got a reason to be here. You're a navigator. And you don't have your chart. and the ship is round and it's got little knobs, right? Everything is 360 degrees. Navigation. Question. Oh, I'm sorry. No. All right. Yes. system.
Is that why you see your ancestors in your dreams sometimes?
Abs-
She said?
Why you see your ancestors in your dreams sometimes. Let me just say this, because I'm feeling this right now. The Spirit is giving me this right now. If you know, and you need to know, if you didn't know today, before we came here, you need to know now and forevermore, that you are a spiritual being having a physical experience, then we answered that question already, didn't we? And the reason that you're here is because there is something you need to experience on this physical. You need to, some babies come and they die and they call it crib death. Maybe they were a cesarean child and didn't get to come to birth now. And that's the only thing that makes them complete of this experience. Some children come, and this sounds really crude, but it's the truth. And they are people who come here and they are abused. That's because they abused somebody in their life before. And they came back. That's life, right. They came back to correct that and bring that to the attention, because when these things happen, everyone is affected. Right? Because we need to correct that. And quite frankly, a lot of we women have experienced that right through our families. But that's because of the debasement we have in what sex really is. Sex really comes from the word even. This is the 6-pointed star.
Sex time.
Or the sextile that I told you, the perfect union of men and women is 6 points on it. That don't mean we need to have 6 people to have sex. That means 2 people. One Trinity with another Trinity. Alright? It's not to have been abused like we have done and debased. But we've been taught and trained to do that. And right now I think that people are becoming more and more what we call celibate and asexual?
No.
Well, actually, also, this is a good time to bring this up too. And somebody's still holding on to my gender, right? My gender question is that women bring everything here. We got that. Oh, and back to, we're bringing in men that are more sensitive because we asked for men that were more sensitive. And now that we got them, we're looking at them like, where the hell did they come from? Because we created that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm saying we need to understand it. We brought it. We complained about men. They need to be more sensitive, so here they are. They're more sensitive, darling. Now what? And women are being more masculine. Don't mean that they necessarily sexually want other women. That's not here and there in this what I'm presenting. But they're being more masculine because they're getting done what needs to be done because the sons are not doing it because you're the teacher. Do you understand? You control all of that. All of it. And we've given it up to some other entity. And then we sit back and complain, we got work to do. Alright? So the spiritual thing, again, is this. We are so disconnected that I could sit here and tell you of a spiritual experience and you could maybe tell me of one too. And suddenly I'm amazing and you're amazing. Wow, did that really happen to you? Ooh, you got the gift. Ooh, you can really talk to the spirits? Wow. That's not uncommon. You are a spirit. You see what I'm saying?
So,
And we revere, Okay.
I have a cousin that's about 9 months younger than me. And she died because she had hysterectomy. And something happened to her. But I wasn't aware that it had happened to her when she was alive.
When she was young.
When she was young.
And she made it clear to you. So you could fix it in the family, didn't she? So you could know it, be aware of it, and fix it. Keep it from happening to somebody else, am I right? Well, see? Because we're here to uplift fallen humanity. Right? So she willed, and her will to be done. Like I said, first you think it, then you speak it, then you write it, put a spell on it because you spell it, and you will it to be done. And if she left here with undone work, she wills that to be known. And so thy will be done. And so she just used the spiritual to tell you that. There are many people who may have done you wrong. And I know a lot of women have come through this in their families, their fathers, their aunts, their uncles, and stuff like that, you know. And again, that's mother's fault because she should understand and protect her child. And don't put so much trust in it. But if they have done you wrong, they may not correct it in this lifetime. But they will correct it when they go. And they will tell someone, or you, or they will do something if they're too embarrassed. Maybe they got a lot of Capricorn and they don't want to so they worry about what they look like. They might do something, you understand? They might do something, maybe it's in their will, their actual physical will and testament. It's what last will and testament is. Stuff that you wanted to get done and didn't get done. That's where they even came up with that whole concept of. They will correct it because the universe will correct it. So if you've been treated or mistreated or treated wrong, you will be vindicated. You will have that. And it may again come through the spirit and it's going to satisfy your soul. And sometimes just having the person admit to you, I don't care if they didn't tell the world, just told you. I apologize for that what I did because it was really wrong. It changed your life.
It was between, I didn't even know about the incident.
You had no idea.
No idea.
And she showed it to you like it was in color, technicolor, didn't you? And then you could go back and verify, couldn't you?
It was like I was watching a movie.
And everybody thought she was crazy. She had tried to say that before.
But it was in a dream. But
oh, but it was in a dream, so it had all the right colors and it was in the right place. And I was sleeping because I was on the astral plane when she talked to me and told me this. So maybe it's not real. Huh. But you found that it was real.
But I know that it happened because I was present.
You were in it.
Life, but I didn't realize that's what was going on.
All right, so she came for you because did she try to tell you that at the time? Yes or no? No. She never tried to mention when she was living about this, did she? No. Because she couldn't. And because you were probably in a situation, we built it out, but you were probably in a situation where you would have been the one that she would have talked to if she could have. And you were there, so she proved to you that it happened. For you to learn something. You did learn something. So again, we're spiritual beings having a physical experience. We must keep that in mind. Remember that. You had a question?
Yeah, I had 2 points.
Yeah.
You keep you're saying that if you have a rising your sun and your moon not in harmony with each other, then you have to go into your chart, deep into your chart, and harness that and use that energy, maybe balance you out some way, shape, or fashion. I know my chart.
Right. I know
it down to the letter. And I brother know because brother in the back being talked about just 2 days ago.
Aries character.
Yeah, Aries sun.
Well, yeah, character.
Yeah, character, of course.
And that's the sun. That's the blissful sun.
Right. Pisces moon.
Oh. Pisces moon.
Yeah, my boy.
Pisces moon. I'm losing bliss now since we.
Yeah, I understand. And
which is water.
Right, water. And Sagittarius rising.
All right. So you're fire, and water.
Right.
Now your moon is water.
Right. So, I see.
Let me tell you what you do.
Huh?
Did you say you didn't like Libras?
Nah, I don't women, not the women. I vibe with.
You just don't attract to them.
Don't attract to the women. They're physically attractive, but I don't. Something about their ways I find them to be quite manipulative, and something about them I see them like that. Now the men, the men are cool, vibe with the men and stuff like that. But it's something about the women, and they're attractive, but they very
manipulative.
Yeah, they got some ways. Got a lot of ways about it.
You're talking about Venus.
And I've dealt with them. I've dealt with them like that. They got some ways.
All right. The genders are going to be the planets. We've got 10 planets. There's going to be a balance of 5 and 5. And, you know, that would be the balance. It's only going to be 10, right? Because it's where your planets are. Now, the genders, if you're a person who has a very difficult time finding a mate, now I use the genders. I use this where the planets are as a quick chart on someone. I do a chart real quick, just using that portion of it, not even dealing with the more in depth. And if you tell me you got 8 masculine signs and only 2 feminine, you're going to have a hard time finding a mate. That's it. Or vice versa. 8 feminine and 2 masculine. And I'm using 8, let's say 6. What you got to look at, and that's why you got to do your mate's chart too, is that you get that mate, if they've got 8 complementary. If it don't, it ain't gonna happen. Because you're too outgoing for that person. If it's masculine sign. Or you're too passive for that person. But you have a, not totally out of balance, but if you got, out of 10, you got 6 of them that are feminine, or 7 of them that are feminine, or 7 of them that are masculine, you ain't going to get with somebody that doesn't somehow balance out that masculine versus feminine. They need to have 7, if you got 7 masculine, they need to have 7 feminine, because the J, it ain't going to fit. It's not going to work. And that's a hidden chart in a way, but that's just, I'm saying it's hidden because nobody really deals with that.
Going deeper.
It's just going a little bit deeper, and it quickly will tell me whether that person is an outgoing person, whether they're outgoing energy, based on that.
What about a 5 and 3?
Oh, well, 5 and 3, I use that as an example. 5 and 3 is, I mean, none of it's bad, don't get it wrong. Any of these configurations that I gave you are not bad. A woman with 8 masculine signs, or vice versa, a man with 8 feminine is not bad. It just means that they are either incomers or outgoing, you know, there's a quality of them. It's just that you must look at that before you start trying to put a peg in a square. I mean, what does it go?
Yeah,
a square and a round hole. It's just, it ain't gonna work. So even on a quick one of those, you do one of those quick charts and find out, you're done.
So,
you understand?
how important is attraction? Because a lot of times, you know, astrology, you know, you line up everything,
yes.
you try to line up the right, then it doesn't seem, you know, to match up, then it seems like you're attracted to, say, someone that's totally, and that's, I think, in a lot of arranged relationships, even though, you know, they line up all the houses, the attraction is not there. A lot of the people who are supposed to mate or get together, they don't want to do it because there's no attraction. They seem to go with this. So how important is attraction, and how much should it be? You know, how much weight should be given to it?
That's magnetic energy. And if the magnetic energy is not balanced, it's not there. It's not there. All right. Now, a lot of times you're attracted to that which is in your 7th house, but that doesn't. I mean, or that which is in your your 1st house. I'm sorry. Presentation. That's presentation. That doesn't mean that's the best mate for you. You got to understand that. You got to know the difference between a sexual attraction or a physical attraction and a magnetic divine. So you are spiritual, chemical, magnetic, divine beings. So you must understand all of those connections. So the attraction, you got to define the attraction. Are you talking about sexual attraction, physical attraction?
Well, no. Let's
that
say
magnetic.
Let's say let's give me a scenario like a magnetic. I mean, where everything is working, all the attraction is working, but you just, you know, you're just attracted to the person. You know, you just want to. It's just there. You know?
All right. If you're just attracted to a person, then there's some energy and elements that are correct for you.
Because I you know, in looking at relationships, you know, movies or actual relationships, you see that it's just a, you know, just a connection there. You know, like people, you know, just know, you know, like they just know that they're supposed to be together, and they, you know, so I mean, how important is
how does that happen?
relevant?
Right.
And I'm not necessarily sexual, but I mean, just in terms of magnetic.
All right, I got you. I understand what you're saying.
And how important is it?
I guarantee you this: if that happens, look at the chart. There's something in there that is complementary. That doesn't just happen.
So the chart would reflect the magnetic.
Absolutely. absolutely. Unless you're on just a doll, you like her because her body looks good. That's what I'm saying. You must know the difference between the magnetic attraction that you are a magnetic being, and divine and spiritual chemical, right? And the lower mundane self of a physical attraction. So once you clear that up, the rest works.
Could you know that before you speak to them? Like you would have to engage some type of oral conversation
This is a
to
good
know.
question. This is a good question because are you attracted to her magnetically, or are you attracted not, or are you attracted sexually? Because if you are magnetically attracted, then there's some magnetic energy there. And you don't need to know it, and you know it because you do feel that magnetism. But if you are attracted sexually and physically, then you need to determine that you're attracted because you like the way, her body looks. Do you understand? Because you're going to get aroused by that on the sexual, physical side. So that's why I said you must determine and know. You see, because the other thing is that we oftentimes look at mates and want them to be what we want them to be. And we're disappointed because they're not what we wanted them to be. Right, brothers? It happens all the time. I never said I was like that. Where you get that from? Because we want them to be our idealism of what ought be. So you must also be able to discern between that. Because a lot of times, like I said, you know your chart. If you find yourself attracted to an X type of person, find out where it is in your chart, find out why you're attracted. You may be attracted to that which is in your first house, which means physically you're going to be attracted to that type of body style, and you will find that that's what's in your first house, for instance. Or your best mate may be your opposite by sun sign, but depending on where all the other planets are, you just go look in your 7th house. See who's in your 7th house. See what sign is in your 7th house. And then after you see the sign that's in there, which is the Lord of the house, see if there are any planets in there screwing that up. And that might be why you don't have good relationships. I knew a brother, this is true, I got you. He had 3 girlfriends for 10 years, most all of his life of dating. Always kept 3 girlfriends, always. Don't you know a certain year came around and those planets had moved out of that, because they were in the 7th house. Three different planets were in, 3 different, of course, planets were in the 7th house. The year that those planets moved out, which takes a long time, because if you're born January the 2nd, 1957, you look at January the 3rd, 1957, that indicates the first year of your life. And the planets aren't going to change that much. So you can go back to your life when you were 5 years old and you had that traumatic experience. Just count the day, not the year, the day. And it'll show why you had it. Because it was something that had to do with the planetary configuration that caused that thing to happen to you.
Aspects.
It's aspects. So when these planets moved out, suddenly in his life was different. He realized, oh my God, what am I doing? 3 girlfriends. He dropped all of his girlfriends. His life changed. I did a chart on him and said, well, those 3 planets moved out of your 7th house. Do you follow what I'm saying? Yeah, it's like that. It's like that, really. And so that's how you plot what you're doing. And I wanted to say this. It slipped my mind. I think somebody else. You had a question.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask. Is like when you say the house is find the planets in your house.
Oh, yeah.
Is the houses the same for everyone, or everyone has different houses? Like,
Good question. The houses or the foundation. Everyone has a first house of self. Find out what's in it. What's happening in it. What planet. Everyone has a 2nd house of possessions and finances. Possessions, I'm talking about clothes in the closet, food in the refrigerator. You know what I'm saying?
So,
furniture in the house, possessions, and finance.
So you're saying certain things are basic, all of like
No. The 12 houses are the 12 facets of your life. You got the whatever's in your first house may not be what's in my first house, but I got a first house and they're all the same. In other words, those 12 houses are, the first house is the house of self, and happens to be governed, or the lord of it is Aries. That he may not be home when I was born though, but it's Aries.
All right, now
you get me?
Yeah.
And then the 2nd house is the house of finance or possessions, Taurus. And then the third house is the house of communications and basic intellect, Gemini. And then the fourth house is Cancer, self-argent. Now, everybody's, those 12 houses all the way down to, to Pisces, they're all the same firm. That's the basic fundamental. Now, I'm going to go look at my chart. What's in my first house? Oh, that's in my first house. What's in yours?
So how you determine what's in your first house is through the planets.
Where they're sitting at the time.
Not just the planets.
Yeah. So,
That's why I said three things. The houses are there, as you understand.
Yeah.
Then there's the astrology signs,
signs.
right? They're moving, constantly visiting. So, the first house belongs to Aries, but he wasn't there. He was way over there in the fifth house visiting Leo. So, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when I was born, that's how it was, somebody, Leo was in the fifth house, let's say. But when you were born, Leo was in the seventh house. Because Leo and the whole 12 signs, it's a clock, it's moving. So you got, let me just do this real quick. You got the circle. You got the circle. That's why they call it the clock of destiny. Of destiny, right? Your destiny. You have the circle here. And you have the signs. And each sign is, each house has a lord of, oh, I'm doing that, 'cause I do it wrong. And these are the signs, right? These are the signs. Aries, Taurus, and Gemini, correct? First, second, and third house, correct?
Yeah.
All right, and then you have Cancer. And then you have Leo, correct? And then you have Virgo, right? You notice the glyph from Virgo, she's the virgin. That thing goes back in, fallopian tube. But when you get to Scorpio, he's male, and comes back out. That's the energy. So then you have Virgo, right? So, and you go all the way to Pisces. We understand this, what I'm saying right here, right? All right. So when you get to Pisces, I mean, when you if you could look at this band right here, this band, yeah, you look at this band of astrology signs right here on the outside, right? And understand that they are constantly moving around these houses. House 1, house 2. We're going to say that these houses do not move, right? You follow me? They don't move, even though everything moves in the universe.
Signs though.
Right.
Signs move around.
This is Sagittarius. There's two things that's happening. There's just two things that happen. I'm sorry, the Capricorn belongs here. Two things that happen, and then I missed Aquarius. All right, Aquarius, which is the 11th house, and Pisces is the 12th house, right? These are houses. Let's have them standing still for a minute. These are the signs that they're in order right now. They belong there. But guess what? This whole thing is constantly moving.
Can we show the camera?
Yeah, I have a graph that I'll bring next time.
Yeah, but for the camera, for the
this inside circle are the houses, right? Right? House 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And the signs are next to the houses that belong there. Aries belongs to the first house, Taurus to the second, Gemini to the third, Cancer to the fourth, Leo to the fifth. But when you were born, because this outer band is the clock, like tick, 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 they're constantly moving. You got me? So that's why you say, well, you got a 14-degree Leo. Well, because this is the house, and it's 30 degrees. Each house is 30 degrees. But Aries went into this house maybe 14 degrees. It's halfway in there. You following it? All right. So this is constantly moving. So these astrology signs are the lords of these houses. But they weren't home when you were born. Aries and his wonderful pioneering leadership qualities, which we should stop just talking about the bad side, was applying them all the way over here, maybe in the 6th house, because he was in the 6th house.
And everything follows.
You see, and everything follows in sequential order with these. This never changes. It's always going to be Aries, Taurus, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer. They're in order, right behind each other. So do you understand what I'm saying? That they're moving, right? And then there's one more third aspect. The planets. Where are they? Because they too govern one of these houses. But you know they're not always home. Because they're constantly moving. And affecting generations of people, some of them. Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. that's why that thing you have that says cosmologically speaking is based on the undertone of the psyche of a whole generation of people, influenced by the planets, which is what this whole thing is about. Because without the planets, we would have no effect, because the planet shines its major energy through this house, and it just so happens that somebody's in that house, and through it will filter that energy and present it in a certain way, in a way that Taurus does. For instance, do you understand? So find out, you got your houses, find out where the astrology signs are, because they're affecting those facets of your life. If you got something in the 5th house, and you've got Taurus in the 5th house, Taurus's energy is affecting your 5th house energy. Good or bad. It doesn't matter. It's not about good being good or bad. It's about it's about knowing that energy. You understand what I'm saying? It's about knowing that energy. Now, what about a person who has, so then we talked about the planets, right? So that's the 3rd level. So I know that if you didn't know this, then you still don't know yourself. Until you know this. Because the aspects of the planets is the whole purpose of the thing. The aspects of the planet is the reason why you look in the newspaper and you find the sun, trine, let's say Neptune today or something. And you don't understand what that is. Because those are the aspects. So what does this mean to you? This means you only got about 5 or 6 that you really need to know. It means that a trine is 120 degrees away. So you got Capricorn. Oh, you got Capricorn. I know this isn't perfect geometrically. You got Taurus, that's 120 degrees. Why is it 120 degrees? Because it's 30, 60, 90, 120. That's why. It's math. It means it's 4 signs away. Anything that is 4 signs away from you, 120 degrees, is in harmony with you. Because it is not causing aspects that conflict. So when you look at this chart and you see something 4 signs away, or you see the trine, you already know it's 4 signs away and it's in harmony. And guarantee you, don't care which way you take the chart, if you go to Capricorn and you go down here to 4 signs away to Taurus, guess what? They're earth signs. So you go from Taurus and you go 4 more signs and you go over here to Virgo, guess what? It's an earth sign and back again. And that's the Trinity, and that's peace and harmony. Because earth signs are definitely in harmony with each other, just basically because they're earth, you understand? And so then you have a sextile. Look at that, sextile, good aspects. That's every other sign, well not every other sign, but every 5th sign, harmony. So you know that the trine and the sextile is a good thing, right? You know that the square is not so good. Why? It ain't that it's bad. It's because now you're talking about a square that's taking the energy, and from each 90-degree angle, you got this energy confronting each other. Who gonna win? You're on the square when you are able to challenge, to step up to the plate and take the challenge. So being on your square is a good thing. Because you're going to be challenged. That's why when people say when you go to the courtroom and be on your square, don't think you're going in there and you're not going to be challenged. That's what being on your square means. Meaning know that there's challenging energies around you and stand up to it. So when you see the square in the newspaper, you know they put a square something, and then you see this. You see the conjunct sign, right? A little circle with the thing sticking out. What's that mean? That means 2 signs are in the same place within 20 degrees of each other. Neither good nor bad, depending on what the 2 energies are. That's why you got to know the energies. Because if the 2 energies of the 2 planets are good with each other, then you cool.
If they're bad.
But if me and him, if he and I are in the same group when we're in opposition, you got friends like that. Like I said earlier, they cool, but don't put them together because there'll be a fight. Because their energies are like that. Same thing with the planets, and it represents that. So now you have a person that got 5 signs, 5 planets, maybe 6, 7, in the same sign. You ever seen that? Heard anybody do that? No, because if you really haven't looked into the charts, you wouldn't know that. Some people have 5 planets or 6 planets in the same place, huh?
In the same sign, I know. Yeah, I know some
You know some people like that?
Yeah.
So generally, in Latin, or
cluster.
what would we say? We would say that all the planets was jumped up in the, say, the 4th house having a party, right? Because they were all right in the same place. Because if they're in the same place, then they're in the same house. So they was in the 4th house having a party, or the 5th house, or wherever that may be. I mean, you got to look at it that way.
I know what you're saying. That was somebody else David. So.
Oh, all right. So now that person was, they're really marked to do something. Because when they were born, all the planets were lined up in the same place.
That's if you have 4.
Well, 4, 5, 5 is very, very prominent. 4 is prominent too. There's only 10.
Usually represents a prominent action.
Yes. There's only 10. So, when you get to 5, that's half and half, but it's really more prominent because the other 5 aren't going to necessarily be in another place. I have not seen that yet. And then I got one more other thing to ask you. When you meet a person, you ever, because I had this happen in the last lecture, was that they raised their hand and they said, how come I feel like I'm a little bit of every sign? Anybody in here? Did I win? Not really. And so it just so happens that there are some people who are born with the lords of the houses in or at home when they were born.
And all the signs.
That's powerful.
All the houses.
Those are the two, yes. That means Aries is in the first house when they were born, Taurus is in the second house. This is rare. It's rare, but not really rare. Statistically, as the wheel turns, it's not really rare. But that means that that's the person. You ever meet a person that knows everything about everything? A little bit about something about it. But more importantly, you ever meet a child that says, Mommy, I just know? And then we try to breed them down like we don't mean to. Well, how do you know that? You're not supposed to know that? Because they have all of the houses lined up, and they did come here just knowing. They're not here for the purpose of finding out this type of combination. They're here to look. All you gotta do is look out where the planets are, and that's what they're marked for to do this time. They're very close to being out of here and becoming perfect. However, those who become perfect come back sometimes to help others. So when you're perfectness, you're still coming back here.
You so-called gifted children have that?
Yes.
Yeah? Because I taught a class of gifted children, man. I mean, I might as well have been the...
You might as well have been a
Them
student.
cats ate me up. I was throwing books at them. Oh, man, them guys were something, man.
They had that probably, or they had a string high combinations of energies in their third house of intellect.
Yeah.
You understand? One of the two or both. And I bet you know what? I would love to be able to do a statistic on those children and see.
Yeah, them cats, man, they just ate me up.
They ate you up. They humbled you, didn't they?
Oh, man, I was just throwing books at them. I was trying to just, they was eating everything up.
Wow, I would love to know. Do you know how that class anymore? I would love to do a statistic.
Now, does this work with the Europeans too, or is it just
Yeah.
Anything that lives.
Anything that lives, because this is universal law. See, and that's the thing, because here in New York, we're not to hate the European. First principle is love. And you will learn to love instead of hate. And you will learn that once you understand who you are and who they are. Then you know you don't hate them. Because as Todd said earlier, we hate them because they put us into slavery. Well, we had them in slavery first, now what?
Yeah, Todd, you gotta, because you got some people that they just caught up in that. I mean, they measure their whole consciousness by, their hate of European and how much you down, and that's their whole focus,
Let me
And
tell you
I
what it
get
is.
into arguments with them all the time.
They don't know the
And
history.
the whole measurement is a Europe, and that's it. That's their whole thing. That's it.
And
And
here
then
in
they call
New York,
themselves Europeans by calling themselves niggers.
But here in
They
New
hate
York,
themselves.
The black on black.
here in New York, I find that more because statistically, and I'm glad you brought that up because I want to share this. Mostly I've seen a lot of brothers that have that psyche you're talking about of hating, and I'm going to tell you this right now, it's written all over their face once you know. They stagnated. I don't care if they got on a red, black, and green, whatever, and Afrocentric, whatever. It has nothing to do with their soul and their spirit. They're stagnated. And you can see it in their face, can't you, sister? You can see it in their face. They start to have a permanent frown like this because they hate the white man, they call it.
Hating themselves.
And they're hating themselves. And I prayed somebody from that once when we talked about it. Sometimes you just talk to them and tell them. Because that's what has held us back. And that's why when Noble Drew Ali came, he said the first principle was love. Because it is. And that's the first principle because the mother brings Venus. She rules love. You must learn to love and not hate. Why do you think that was said? Because you obviously will start hating, quote unquote, the white man. and you're stagnated. Your soul is stenched.
And really, you got to get behind. It's not loving every. I mean, love is a principle, and dealing with that principle is what activate. You know, it's how you get to your highest. You know, so it's not so much you love them and you kissing them and all that, but it's a principle. And everybody missed that love, because for me, you know, being an Aries, I mean, I was about taking heads, and I had a hard time dealing with that love. I had a hard time dealing with it, but then as I study, I can see it as a principle, not so much. You know, but that principle, and once you can master that principle, then you can, you know. And then another thing with the people with the black on black, I find that they're really intimidated by Caucasian. You know, they talk that talk, but if you actually put them up against, they're gonna jump on. They're quick to jump on a black, beat them down, and but Caucasian, they won't touch them. You know, but they'll talk that talk, but on the real,
they're not around them.
Oh yeah, real thing, nothing's happening.
Put them in the courtroom, they triple.
Fold like a card table.
Which is why, and I got you, brother. I want you to make a comment because I think you can bring some enlightenment on that. Which is why on one of these it says, oh yeah, the children that were born with courage. The children that were born with courage are the ones that are challenging the authorities now in the schools, because they have the courage to do that. You understand? They have to have that in order to affect change. Alright? So we know, like I said, that those who hate, they're the ones who are stagnant.
They injure themselves, actually.
Yes. It's very injurious.
You know, because the person that knows, that's confident with their knowledge, believing with it, it's not a thing who comes. There's not a feeling of, no emotion involved. It's like pure knowledge. You know what I mean? The knowledge override, you know, all of that. And if it's any type of, you know, the knowledge just knock all of that down. So
knowledge. My people perish for a lack of knowledge.
And you find the ones with the less knowledge are the ones that's, you know, that's with that.
Right, and so that's what I find not feel really bad for our brothers. My sons that I see that are like that, it's really bad to start, like Sister said, you know, just start weighing on their face and everything. And I your question in there.
Is that why the Europeans look the way they do? Because they
Can you talk a little louder, please?
I can't hear you.
Is that the reason the Europeans have this look that you describe on their faces, because they have so much hate them?
They don't. No. Can I respond to that?
Yeah.
Europeans don't hate us so much, they fear us. We hate them.
Right.
Why do they fear us?
Because we were mean to them
That's why.
when we had power, which is why the revolution took place and why we're in this nigger position right now. Because we abused power when we had it.